When the war god and realm master who was kneeling on the ground heard this, they knelt aside in a hurry, not daring to make any trouble. As for Yanzheng and Yangang, when Charlie said he wanted to have a good chat with them, the brothers' expressions were horrible, and they were already panicking. They didn't expect that there would be such an evil star in the eldest brother's house. Based on their understanding of Philip, the family is nothing more than a few bodyguards who look after the nursing home. Although their abilities are good, they are 1,000 miles away from the two he brought down. However, the ghost knows that there is another young man in their family, who has a terrifying manner and looks like a Shira. Seeing that Charlie was making trouble for them, the two immediately took a step back, and Yanzhang asked in panic, "You, what do you want to do?" "Me?" Charlie smiled. "You have been pretending so much for a long time, so I should pretend to be? Come on, let's talk about it. How are you going to solve this matter today?" "How to solve it?" Yanzhang gritted his teeth. "This is our GU family's affair, and it has nothing to do with outsiders. You can't control it." After speaking, he warned with a gloomy face, "Boy, I admit that you can fight very well, but it's useless to fight. If you provoke me, I will definitely not let you go." Philip shouted angrily, "Second, do you dare to try a hair on Charlie? Do you really think I, the boss of the GU family, eat dry food?" Yanzheng was panicked, but still wanted to find a place, and said angrily, "Big brother, even if you are not eating dry food, how long can you live?" As he said, he added, "Even if I admit to planting today, what about tomorrow? What about the day after tomorrow? Let me say, that's all for today. In the future, let's keep the water in the tub. If you are willing to accept my previous proposal, we are still good brothers. When you leave, the third and I must take care of the future generations and bury you. But if you disagree, then after you leave, don't blame me for not being affectionate. When the time comes, my sister-in-law and my daughter will." Before Yanzhang's threatening words were finished, Charlie suddenly raised his hand and slapped his face with a pop, directly pulling him to the side in a daze. Yangang hurried to help, but he was also brought to the ground by the force of Yanzhang's body. The brothers each sighed. Philip was just okay and just fell, but Yanzhang was a bit miserable. This slap directly killed the dead molars, his mouth was full of blood, and his cheeks were swollen as if they were stung by a wasp. The same. The others hurried forward and helped Yanzhang, who was like a dead pig, up. Yanzhang covered his face and whimpered indistinctly, You dare to beat me? Do you really think that I am a vegetarian?" Charlie shook his head. "I didn't think you were a vegetarian. I think you are more like a shit-eater. One mouth is stinking." Don't know if you know Wu Qi, the second son of Orus Hill Wu family. He was on YouTube some time ago. It's still very popular on the internet. I think your mouth is just like him. Yanzheng was almost furious. This kid actually compares Wu Qi with him. That Wu Qi, he has heard of him because he watched the video on YouTube, and almost felt sick at the time. Charlie actually compares that shit-eater with him. Isn't this an insult to his personality? He immediately shouted to the war god and the realm master who was kneeling on the ground, "Damn, kill him for me. Kill him, I will give you 100 million. The two looked at each other. "1 billion? It sounds really attractive. But how dare they step forward to provoke Charlie? Charlie could lift the two of them up like chickens and almost choke them to death with one move. The two of them had nothing to fight in front of Charlie. In this case, even if this 100 million was placed in front of them, they would not have this ability to earn. However, there was a burst of ecstasy in the heart of the god of war. This is because he has always been wearing a gun next to him. Although he is a martial artist and doesn't like to use guns, guns are also a life-saving support. He serves as a bodyguard for Yanzheng. Most of the time, there is no danger, but he still saves one more hand. It's just that when Charlie was rubbing against him, he didn't have the opportunity to use the gun at all, and he couldn't even think about it. But things are different now. Charlie's attention was no longer on his body. Therefore, he couldn't help but think to himself, if Charlie's attention was all on Yanzheng and Yangang, then he might have a chance to attack him. No matter how strong they are afraid of bullets. If one shot is hit, the opponent should immediately lose their combat effectiveness. When the time comes to make up 2 more shots, even the martial arts master will definitely die. At that time, not only will he have avenged himself, but he will also get a 100 million bonus from the boss. Then he doesn't have to work for the rest of his life, and can retire directly to enjoy the glory and wealth. Thinking of this, he immediately raised his arm, trying to sneak behind him to get a gun. However, at this time, he suddenly realized that his arm was so soft that he could hardly use any strength. The arm had been slumped before, and he was afraid that Charlie would get angry, so he didn't dare to move, and he didn't realize that his arm had some symptoms of muscle weakness. He was surprised in his heart, and said, "What the hell is going on? Is it because I was so scared just now and my body was scared?" Thinking of this, he gritted his teeth and wanted to use a bit more strength to drive his arm, but the power on his arm almost dissipated. What the hell is going on? He was shocked in his heart, but for the 100 million, he still worked hard to suckle, trying to put his right hand behind him, what is usually easy, and now he has worked hard for a few minutes, tired and sweating, but he has not succeeded. At the moment when he felt that his strength was almost exhausted, he finally put his hands behind his back with great effort, and touched his gun through his clothes. However, trying to grab a gun is as difficult as reaching the sky. At this moment, he only felt that his 5 fingers were like others, completely unable to drive.